Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to the channel and another video for Not2Shabby. Today I'm going to concentrate on the pattern paper packs and the ephemera that came with the Lazy Day release. So we're going to do, I think, five cards today. So here I'm cutting up the first two that I matched up that I thought would go well together. And I don't remember exact measurements, but my rectangles never go smaller than 4 by 5 1/4 normally, and I never make them the size of an A2 card, so they're always at least trimmed 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So here I'm going to put that first pretty, I love that pattern. I think it's a beautiful floral pattern, very dainty. I put that down with some double-sided adhesive on a white top folding card base. And then I took that very pretty, reminds me of like party poppers or confetti, second pattern piece, and popped that up with some foam tape in the center. And I'm taking these 3 ephemera pieces, the eye mask, the teacup, and the candle, which I love, by the way. I love candles. And I'm going to glue those all down onto the front of the card. Now, I decided for that one I would use the sentiment on the candle as the sentiment for the card. And if you notice, I also trimmed off the white border around my ephemera pieces. It just bugs me. I don't like the white border most of the time. I have used it once in a while, but definitely more than I used to. For the second piece, I took some of that teacup paper, and then I trimmed down a piece of the tone-on-tone floral pattern, the pink one, to go over that, and I centered that. And it's another white card base, but this time, well, it's still top folding, I guess, but I turned the card base sideways, long ways. So I have some more ephemera, 2 macaroons, tell me if I'm saying that right, another teacup, and a chocolate bar. And we will add a sentiment to this, but that's going to be a little later on. I popped 3 of those up, but the green macaroon is glued straight to the center strip. The rest of them are popped up on foam tape. For the third card, we're going to take another teacup pattern paper. This is a different one from that pack. Slightly different in colors and maybe a little bit in the pattern. Excuse me. And of some of that same pink monotone floral paper, and this time I went with rectangles. And I'm showing you I did stamp out a sentiment ahead of time with this, and I used my Altenew featured sentiment dies, and I love them because they cut out rounded edges for the sentiment strips. But I did use a sentiment from one of the Lazy Day stamp sets. For this one, I'm taking a die from my stash, which does not cut out a circle. It cuts out these little tiny ovals and leaves a pattern in the paper. And I love that floral paper. The yellow background is just bright and beautiful and reminds me of spring. And I set that aside for a second. I cut out the word smile, which is a Catherine Pooler die, out of the green pattern paper and stacked that up with 2 pieces of white cardstock underneath and glued that to the first card, which I really did think I left that with the time to relax sentiment, but I guess I added the word smile to the bottom. As in smile, it's time to relax. I took a piece of purple glitter cardstock and glued it behind this yellow floral paper so you could see it coming through those little tiny ovals that we die cut out. And then I took the sentiment Hey You, which I believe is a picket fence word die, and I glued those down on the bottom. And I took 3 pieces of floral ephemera from the ephemera pack, trimmed off the white border, and glued the first 2 flat to the center of the circle, and the third one is popped up with foam tape. For the 5th card, yes, I think we're on the 5th card already, I used that bright purples and blues mostly, or purples and pinks is what I mostly see when I stare at that piece of floral pattern paper, and glued that to a black card base. I then took 2 different size strips. I think the first one is 2 inches, the second one is 1.5 inches. And I cut them so that I just showed you how I measured them out there. Found the center, measured up on this one 1/2 inch, and then drew lines in from the corners to make a fishtail banner. And then I did the same thing with the other strip, I can't speak as well, but I think I didn't go up 1/2 inch. I think I only went up like 3/8 of an inch to create the fishtail because it was a smaller, skinnier banner. And that green banner does not quite touch the bottom of the rectangle, and I like it that way. So now I have 3 more flowers from the ephemera, and the first one, the yellow one, is going to be partially glued onto the banners, and that green banner's popped up with foam tape. The yellow banner is not. It's just double-sided adhesive, but that flower has to be high enough so that when it's glued partially to the banner, it sticks up on the regular part of the card. So I measured it out so I knew where the flowers needed foam tape and where they did not. Put glue on all of it, even the foam tape, and then glued them down where I needed to. And the same thing with that third one. I trimmed the flower on that last card too, because you can see it hanging off the edge there. So then I took some alphabet dies from my stash. I think I picked them up at Hobby Lobby on clearance, and I cut out the words "Pamper Yourself," which is actually a sentiment in one of the Lazy Day stamp sets, but I wanted it to be big and bright and sparkly. So, I mean, you could use any one of these as Mother's Day cards, really. And I glued "Pamper" on the front of that card and "Yourself" on the inside. And then I stamped out the words "Miss You," which is a die from my stash, and glued that onto the banner of the 5th card. And now I'm going to show you all 5 cards with their embellishments. I think they turned out pretty well, considering I'm not very skilled with working with pattern paper and ephemera. It's something I'm not very comfortable with. So I have pictures here of each of the 5 cards. And the coupon code down below in the description box so you can shop at the Not2Shabby shop. And we will see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye for now.